Hi, I'm Jennifer, and welcome to Salento. Today's video, we're going to talk about one of the questions that some of the people were asking in the comments about how much it actually costs to live every day in Italy. So, the big things that people worry about are, how much is it going to cost me to have a house, or how much is it for rent an apartment, and if I need to rent a car, if I'm staying there for a few months or something. But if you're planning on spending an extended amount of time there, and you really want to be able to plan out your expenses because there's really nowhere you can find this information unless you're actually there. So we were in the south of Italy, the very south, in the heel in Salento, and the the restaurants and supermarkets and things in that area were not super expensive because it's not a main city or a main tourist area. So yes, there's a lot of tourism that's there, but it's not as busy as up north. Our choices probably aren't as much as up north, but we could pretty much find anything that we needed, except for some specialty things which weren't really very important. That was one of the things that we always told people to bring when they came to visit. We're like, you can stay with us if you bring us, something this from the U.S. So other than that, you can pretty much get anything, and the quality of everything is really, really great. So I'm going to start talking to you about the cost of things that are in Italy. So the first one was gas. So a lot of people were worrying about the cost of gas, and it's well known that the cost of gas in Europe is a lot more expensive than in the US. It's probably over double. So it when we left, and actually it's been hovering around the same amount. Right now it's about $1.89 a liter, which ends up translating to about €7.15 a gallon. And if you transfer that over to American dollars, the euro compared to the US dollar right now is about 108, 109. So it's not that much different. It is expensive, but the cars use a lot less gas. So our we had a minivan, and it's an automatic and a Volkswagen. So our minivan had a normal sized gas tank that you would have. I guess it's about 15 gallons, 15 and a half gallons. And it used to cost us about €85 to fill the tank up, but we got almost 1,000 kilometers out of that tank, which is about 621 miles. So the cars are very, very fuel efficient. So, so even though the gas costs a little bit more, over double more, but you're probably getting almost double the miles out of the car. And we had a minivan. They have a lot of other cars that are much more fuel efficient than ours was. So you might even spend a lot less than that on gas and not use as much because, you're not stop and go and traffic. It's not like that. The towns are, a little bit further away from each other, but there's not really a lot of traffic lights. There's roundabouts and country roads and things like that. So you're not stopping and going like you would be in a city. You don't go through a lot of gas. Our tank would last us, even in the summer, driving all around, way over a month. So you're not really filling that tank up too much. Okay, so auto insurance was the other one. Someone asked about auto insurance. I don't know if I covered it in one of the other videos, but we pay a little bit more than the normal because we wanted to make sure that when our guests or our kids visited, that they were able to drive the car. I didn't want them to be excluded from it just in case of an emergency, and we wanted them to, or they just wanted to be able to take the car. So we pay about $100 a month, which seems high, but compared to what some auto insurance is in the United States and what some people are paying for younger children to be able to drive their car, it's nothing. So about €100 a month averaged out, and we did, pay in full policy. We paid it all up front, and it works out divided up to be about 100 a month, and that includes if we lend it to our friends, um, if we let our kids drive it or whatever. So that was easy for us. We didn't want to have to worry about any of that. So buying a car. Now, one of the other videos I did was on how to buy a car in Italy, but someone said, well, how much do cars cost? Um, there are a lot more models of cars available in Italy than are available in the United States. they have different agreements, different countries that they have agreements with, where the United States doesn't. And there's a lot of cars that they get there that we would not get in the US. So I actually checked, and now the Fiat has the Fiat Panda, which is the most popular car in all of Italy. They're everywhere, old ones, new ones, and now it's about 15,000 euros to buy one brand new. So you can actually just buy a brand new car for 15,000 euro, and you don't have to worry about leasing a car or spending a lot of money on a car. Used cars are very easy to come by also. There's a lot of websites online when you are in Europe, in Italy, because you can't buy a car before you're actually a resident. If you're actually already a resident and you want to be able to purchase a car, go online and do some used car searches. And there's a lot of places that do online car delivery, so many more than when we were purchasing a car. So they're really coming up to be up with the times, which is not always the case. But we were really impressed with the list that we saw. So we being in the South, food is a lot less expensive, but some of the things that would be comparable everywhere, um, milk. So I remember we were paying about $1.20 a liter for milk. That probably is about the same as what you're paying in the U.S. It's probably a little bit less. Eggs. Eggs are very inexpensive in Italy. I think the last time we checked, a half dozen was a €1.65 or something. And I get the big extra large eggs. I like to use those, especially like cooking and things like that. And they were inexpensive. So that would be what, $3 a dozen, a little over $3 a dozen, euros a dozen, which is not bad at all. Vegetables are very, very inexpensive. So especially where we are, they grow everywhere. There's farms everywhere. And a lot of the produce that you find in the supermarkets is all local. They get deliveries of this produce. We've actually seen the farm trucks pull up in front of the supermarket, bring out the crates of the lettuce and whatever's in season. And that's another thing. So it might be difficult to find certain things at certain times of the year because they do eat seasonally. They do get things from other places, but most of the time you're getting things that are in season that are very, very fresh and abundant. So it is very inexpensive, so that you can make whatever's in season at that time, and it won't cost you a lot to cook with that. Meat was one of those things that we realized after we were actually living in Italy that Italians eat a lot less volume of meat than Americans do. So I noticed that in America, everyone's buying pounds and pounds of chicken and meat and steaks and things like that. They don't really have packages like that in Italy. They have smaller packages. You mostly shop fresh for the day or the next day, and this meat that you purchase does not have anything added to it. It will not last a week in your refrigerator, and they really don't freeze anything like that. They always want to get everything fresh. So the meat packages were very, very small amounts, but we actually learned to eat a lot less meat, and we felt better when we weren't eating so much meat. I guess it's personal preference, but they don't eat large volumes of meat. They eat more vegetables, more pastas, more bread, things like that, and they have all of that together instead of just eating a lot of large quantity of meat. And one of the things that was really, really important for us when we first arrived was alcohol. Not that we're alcoholics or anything, but um, alcohol, wine, beer, things that we were normally used to paying a lot for in the United States were very, very reasonable in Italy. So a lot of the times where some of the restaurants that we go to, they'll have house wine, and that would be a local wine that someone's producing that they sell to the restaurants, and then the restaurants serve that. That we were getting about €5 a liter, which is nothing. And bottled wine, so commercially bottled wine, would run anywhere from, for a good bottle of wine, you would expect to spend maybe between €6, a little over €6, to maybe €15. 18 euros. Anything over that, it's not necessarily better. It just may be a different brand or just a more expensive vintage or something. But most of the time, the wines that we get would get in the supermarket. And if you wanted to go to the wineries, actually, you could take trips to the wineries and purchase your wine directly from them. Um, because we did a lot of bicycle riding while we were in Italy, we noticed there were a lot of wineries that you didn't really see advertisements for. There weren't big billboards around. You might see a little sign when you ride into the town that says, Cantina, or, winery, the name of the family winery or whatever. Up this way, make a right, and you'll find it, right off on the country road. And there's so many of them. You could actually spend an entire lifetime going to all of these wineries in Italy, but there's a lot that are in Salento. So if you like wine and you like to go visit wineries, that would definitely be a great destination for you to go to. Kind of settle in the middle. You can stay in Lecce or outside Lecce in one of the other towns and be able to visit all of these wineries because they'll give you tours and all kinds of things like that and tastings, and it's a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with our friends and bringing our guests that came to visit to these places. And they were like, "This is so great! I didn't know." And I was like, "Well, we didn't know either until we showed up." There's really a lot to explore. So, alcohol is probably comparable to what's in the United States cost. They don't have a lot of taxes added. That's much different than the US. And, depending on where you purchase it, you might get something that's, 1 or 2 euros less a bottle, or something's on special. But other than that, it's pretty comparable. And a lot of the things that you're able to get in the US, you can get there. It's kind of the same. Um, Beer. So there's a lot of breweries that are, small microbreweries that are in this area, all different, private labels. There's a lot of imports to German, because you're in the EU, there's no premium put on German beer. And Italian brews, there's all different brands of Italian beers that you can get, and they're all very reasonable. So you can get bottled beer in the supermarket, probably from 65 cent euro a bottle up until, it could be 3 euros a bottle. Maybe a special beer might be 4 euros a bottle or something like that. But German beers are also about the same, maybe a few cents more, but not really much difference to mention. Also, I remember when we were in the supermarket and they had a special one time of one of those mini kegs of German beer, and I think it was 15 euro for a well-known mini keg of German beer. So I was like, that's really great buy. Like, well, I won't be able to drink all of that, but next time I'm going to get it. I'm going to have a party. We're going to invite everybody over. So those things are very reasonable. And again, in Italy, they don't do in excess. So you won't really find people drinking a lot. If you do see people drinking a lot, most of the time it's people from America. But Italians usually will not drink a lot of alcohol at once. They might have a little something, a little aperitivi, something after dinner, but they're not drinking bottles and bottles of alcohol or wine. So the next thing is food. So actual food that you would purchase every day to make your meals, your cheeses, your cold cuts, meats, things like that. So bread and cheese and those kinds of things are all, they're in pretty much every store that you're going to visit. They might have special stores for cheese. We had one right near us that was an actual dairy that made the cheese and then sold it in their dedicated store. All amazing. Any of these products, even stuff that you get in the supermarket, is unbelievable because there's no preservatives in it. They don't add anything to it, and when you get it, it's fresh. So they also have a different way of preserving things. So some of the cheeses may be in water, and sealed a special way, and they might last for 2 weeks like that, and they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to add any chemicals to it, which I don't know how they do it, but they've been doing it for so long that they've perfected it. So whatever you get is, oh, everything we've ever gotten was always amazing. Even supermarket stuff is like 1,000 times better than anything that you would get maybe in a special shop in the US, because it is so fresh. It really is made right there. Um, Bread, again, everybody has different kinds of bread. You might find a different bread shop that you like to get special bread at. We had a few in our town. The range of prices, you can get a regular baguette for maybe €1.50 to a big loaf of bread if you want a lot of bread for, whatever. That might be $6, €6 for that. Depending on where you go, they have different focaccias, all kinds of stuff. But bread, very reasonable. And again, everyone's making it. It's all great. So pretty much no matter where you go, it's delicious. It's just, fresh. And they won't have anything less than that. It's the quality standard there is so, so high that if it's not good, no one will buy it, and then they won't be able to sell it. So that's really just the way that it goes. So every place that we've really ever been, everything's been phenomenal. Um, so those are like your everyday things, cold cuts. And remember, if you're actually looking at prices of things online, say I'm searching for the price of this online, they list those prices in kilograms. So a kilogram is 2.2 pounds. So if you took the amount that you would pay for a pound in the US and then you multiplied that by 2.2, that's what they're charging per kilogram. A lot of times that kilogram price that we would see in Italy is less than what we would see for a pound in the United States. And I'd say, how could they sell this for so cheap? They're not charging anything. They're practically giving this to me for free. But especially like a lot of vegetables, when they're in season, you'll see trucks on the side of the road, vegetables, fruits, things like that they'll be selling from their farms, and so reasonable and really fresh, like just picked. So that, those kinds of things, if you can see that those places and you want to take advantage of that, I definitely would, because that is better than picking it yourself. You don't have to you don't have to go out and do it. So dining out, we have gotten a lot of questions about dining out and how much it costs. Depending on where you are, if you're in a regular town, if you're in a tourist town, the cost of restaurants will vary. But if you're looking at normal casual dining restaurants, um, we notice that in these types of restaurants, the family owns them and the family works there. So a lot of the costs are less than they would be if it was a large commercial restaurant, which there's not too many of them, but in the touristy areas, you will see more of them. You'll see the mom and the kids working there, the dad's working there, everyone's helping together. They'll have other employees, obviously, because if they need more help. But these are businesses that they're building, and they're legacy businesses that they can pass on to their children, that they can continue with the next generation. So we always really try to use family businesses when we can, give them the business rather than to give it to a big corporation, because these people are actually building their business, and then they want to continue and give their children something that they can make a livelihood out of, which is really nice. In restaurants in Italy, you don't tip. You don't have to tip. It's not required. They don't expect it. And your taxes and everything are already added into your price of your item that you order. So if you're ordering a pizza and you say it's €10, that pizza is €10. There's no tax. There's no anything else added on to that. So you can actually look at the menu and determine what you're able to order depending on how much money that you want to spend for the evening. So there's no surprise at the end. Say, oh, I didn't realize there's a tip and tax and all of these things. It's all included. Pizza, if you get a pizza like a casual or takeout restaurant, you could run around €6 for like a regular cheese pizza, margherita pizza. If you go to a restaurant and you want a special pizza or a dinner pizza, someplace that's, we'll sit down where you're going to, have wine and, sit down at a table formally, pizzas could run maybe €11, higher for special pizzas with different meats and cheeses and things like that on them, €15. But even then, the portions are more than really, you can eat. I mean, some people have two pizzas, but they're very, very large, and everything is so fresh and delicious. It's unbelievable. So what you're paying for, you're getting so much more. There's so much added value in that. Um, and what's really, really nice is everything is made fresh. So they do not use things from packages. Everything, it's all picked fresh, prepared fresh, made fresh, doughs fresh, everything. So really, no comparison to anywhere that we've ever had pizza. We could compare it to Italy. So we're ruined, completely ruined for pizza now. That's why we'll have to go back and have some soon because we haven't had pizza in a long time. Um, Steak. So if you're a you love meat and you love big steaks, near us we have a butcher called Macellai, and they can cut like Florentine steaks, big ones, like 3 inches thick, with the bone that they put on the flame, which I know are really expensive in Florence. If you want to order that, because it's a special steak that they cook it a certain way, then they cut it up, coarse salt, serve it on the hot plate, and then you eat it right from there. They usually prepare that rare. Some they might just sear it depending on how you like it. But we had a party of four of us, and maybe three people were going to be eating the steak. So I said we wanted to get a steak for four people, and it was huge. So it was like this thick, this big, and this high, right? This much crazy. And then they cut it around the bone. So there's a bone in the middle. But that steak, I think, was only 85 euros. And they cooked it and they brought it to the table. And three people had this beautiful steak. So that's not a lot. If you go to a steak restaurant, that could be something that's very, very expensive. Um, we used to take pictures of it, and anyone we knew that loved meat that wasn't with us, we would send it to them, and they would all send us bad messages back saying, "How could you send me that? I want to jump through the video and eat it." Really, and the quality unbelievable. So again, all fresh, and definitely worth it. You could get cheeseburger and French fries there. They love French fries and they love cheeseburgers, all things like that. 10 euros, you can get a cheeseburger and fries. If you're in a different, a restaurant, a little more formal, maybe 12 euros or 13 euros, but not much of a difference to mention. Very inexpensive if you like that. Regular dinner entrees, so like your pastas, a meat entree, something that comes with a salad or whatever, that can run maybe 15 euros, 25 to 30 euros, depending on what you're ordering and where you are. So obviously, if you're in a big city and you're in a busy place and they have, fancy restaurant, you're going to pay more for your entrees, obviously. If you're ordering special seafood, you're going to spend more that you would, but the prices are not really anything compared to what they are in the US. They're a lot less, and the quality that you get is so much more. So even if you did say, you know what, I want to go out and I want to spend, get a really nice dinner, that dinner is going to be, phenomenal most of the time. Always check your Google reviews. We do. We have a lot of people that we know now in the town that were regulars kind of when we are in Italy, and we like to visit them and say hello, and then they remember what you like. They'll bring you certain things, especially in the coffee shops too. If they know that you like a certain coffee, you go there 2 or 3 times, they're already saying, do you want a cappuccino today? And you're like, oh, how did you know? It's like, because I remembered, because you get to know them, and everybody's really friendly there. So I hope that this video helped you out a lot. I know that a lot of people do go to the north, and there are areas up there that are not so expensive. If you're not in the major cities, it will be comparable to where we were in the heel of Italy, in the very south of Italy. But if you are in those cities, you're expecting to pay those prices. But if you really want to try to stay on a budget, and you know that you have a certain amount of money allotted for your eating out, groceries, things like that, you want to be able to do the things that you want to do and be able to stay within your budget. So I really think that if this is something that you're interested in, this is the area that you should be in, because the quality and everything is just second to none. So I hope that this video helped you out today. Again, if you like this video, please click on the like and subscribe. It really helps us out, and we're glad to help you today. Again, take care. Ciao.